Your paycheck stays the same, your rent goes up, your groceries cost more, your savings buy less, and somewhere, someone is calling this economic growth. This isn't a conspiracy. It's not a glitch. It's the system working exactly as designed. And the cost? You're already paying it. Let me show you something most people never see. In 1971, the average American home cost $25,000. A new car, around $3,500. A gallon of milk was just over $1. Today, that same home costs over $400. The car? The $48,000. The milk? $4. Your first instinct is to blame inflation. And you'd be right. But here's what they don't tell you. Inflation isn't just something that happens to you. It's something that's done to you on purpose, by design. Every single year, the Federal Reserve has an explicit target, 2%. That's how much they want prices to rise annually. Not zero, not stable, 2% minimum. They call it healthy inflation, as if there's something healthy about your money losing value while you sleep. But let's be clear about what 2% actually means. If you're 25 years old today and you manage to save 10,000, that money will be worth roughly 8,200 in 10 years. Not because you spent it, not because you invested poorly, simply because it existed. In 30 years, it's worth 5,500. By the time you're 65, that 10,000 has the purchasing power of 4,500. You didn't lose it to a bad bet or a stock market crash. You lost it to time, to policy, to a system that quietly, constantly erodes what you own. This is the invisible tax. And unlike income tax or sales tax, you can't see it on a receipt. There's no line item, no deduction. It just happens. And here's the uncomfortable part. It's not an accident. Let's go back to 1971 again, because something changed that year. Something most people have never heard of, but everyone is living with the consequences of. August 15th, 1971, President Nixon walks into the Oval Office and makes an announcement. The United States will no longer convert dollars into gold. The link is severed. The anchor is gone. For the first time in modern history, the dollar is backed by nothing except trust and the printing press. Before that moment, governments couldn't just create money out of thin air. Gold was the limit. Scarcity was the constraint. You couldn't print more gold. But after 1971, the rules changed. Money became flexible. And flexible money is incredibly useful. If the government needs to fund a war, print money. If the economy is slowing down, print money. If banks are failing, print money. It's a magic button, and once you have it, it's very hard not to press it. But here's the thing about magic buttons: someone always pays. And in this case, it's you. Every time new money is created, your existing money loses value. Not immediately, not obviously, but inevitably. Think of the economy like a pizza. If there are 8 slices and 8 people, everyone gets 1 slice. Now imagine someone walks in and cuts the pizza into 16 slices. Everyone still gets 1 slice. But that slice is now half the size. More slices. Same pizza. That's inflation. The Fed doesn't call it making your money worth less. They call it stimulating the economy, or supporting growth, or ensuring liquidity. But the math is the math. More dollars chasing the same amount of goods means each dollar buys less. And this isn't speculation. This is measurable. Since 2000, the U.S. money supply has increased by over 400%. Not prices, not GDP, the actual supply of dollars in circulation. 4 times as many dollars exist today than 25 years ago. Your salary didn't quadruple. Your savings didn't quadruple. But the number of dollars did. Which means every dollar you own is worth a fraction of what it used to be. And the people closest to the money printer get the new dollars first. Banks, corporations, governments, they spend it before prices rise. They buy assets, real estate, stocks, while money is still cheap. By the time that new money reaches you, prices have already adjusted. You're getting the diluted version. The money's already weaker. Economists have a term for this. It's called the Cantillon Effect. And it's one of the most discussed wealth transfers in modern economics. Now, here's where it gets darker. The system doesn't just erode your cash. It punishes you for saving and rewards you for borrowing. If inflation is 2% and your savings account pays 0.5% interest, you're losing 1.5% per year in real terms. You're being penalized for being responsible. But if you take out a loan at 3% and inflation runs at 4%, the debt gets cheaper over time. You're paying back the bank with money that's worth less than what you borrowed. The system rewards leverage. This is why the rich get richer. They don't hold cash. They hold assets. Real estate, stocks, businesses, things that rise with inflation, things that benefit from new money flooding the system. Meanwhile, the middle class saves in cash, holds dollars, waits for a good time to invest, and watches their purchasing power evaporate. The wealth gap isn't just about income. It's about who understands the rules. But let's talk about the argument in favor of inflation. Because there is one. The central bank will tell you inflation is necessary. If prices are falling, people delay purchases. Why buy today when it's cheaper tomorrow? Spending slows. Businesses cut jobs. The economy contracts. Deflation, they say, is the real danger. And there's some truth to that. Deflation can spiral into depression. Japan spent decades trying to escape it. But here's the sleight of hand. The choice isn't between 2% inflation and deflation. The choice is between controlled inflation and sound money. Between a system that constantly devalues your savings and one that doesn't. For most of human history, prices were relatively stable. A loaf of bread in 1800 cost about the same as it did in 1900. Not because of policy, but because money was scarce. It was gold. It was silver. You couldn't print more. That stability allowed people to save for generations, to plan, to build wealth slowly. The game wasn't rigged toward debtors and speculators. But that world is gone. And in its place, we have a system that benefits those who understand how to play it and punishes those who don't. Let me give you one more number, one that makes all of this very real. In 1971, the average hourly wage in America was $3.60. A new home cost 25 zerelzen. That means the average worker could buy a home with about 7 years of gross income. Today, the average hourly wage is around 28. A new home costs 400 zalozen. That's over 14 years of gross income. Wages went up by a factor of 8. Home prices went up by a factor of 16. The invisible tax isn't just eating your savings. It's pricing you out of the life your parents could afford. And when people feel this, when they sense the game is tilted, they don't always understand why. They blame immigrants, or corporations, or the other political party, but the real mechanism is hiding in plain sight. It's monetary policy. It's the slow, relentless expansion of the money supply. It's the invisible tax. So what do you do? The traditional advice is to invest. Put your money in the stock market. Buy real estate. Don't hold cash. And that's not wrong. But it's also not a solution. It's a workaround. You're not fixing the problem. You're just trying to outrun it. And not everyone can. Not everyone has extra money to invest. Some people are living paycheck to paycheck, trying to save, watching inflation eat their future before they even get a chance to build one. The system isn't neutral. It's not a level playing field. It rewards those who already have assets and punishes those who are still trying to get them. Here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't going to stop. The government is over 36 trillion in debt. That debt gets easier to manage if the dollar loses value. Inflation is a feature, not a bug. It's how they pay for promises they can't keep. They'll never admit this publicly. But the math speaks for itself. Every year, 2%. Every decade, your money loses a quarter of its value. Every generation, the goalposts move further away. And the really insidious part, most people never see it. They feel poorer. They work harder. They wonder why things are so much harder than they used to be. But they never trace it back to the source. The invisible tax stays invisible. So the next time someone tells you the economy is growing, ask yourself, growing for who? The next time you hear, inflation is under control, ask controlled at whose expense? Because the answer is already in your bank account, in your rent, in your grocery bill. You're paying the tax. You've been paying it your whole life. The only question now is whether you'll keep pretending not to notice.